based on. Welcome to Wild, Wise and Whole, a podcast for women ready to reconnect with their bodies, reclaim their power and embrace their truth. I'm your host, Lydia, a somatic psychotherapist, trauma release breathwork facilitator and embodiment coach, and I'm also a woman just like you. This show dives deep into the wisdom of the feminine body and the art of living authentically. Through conversations on somatics, nervous system healing, trauma recovery, cyclical living, feminine leadership, all of the beautiful things related to being wild, wise and whole as a woman, we are going to be exploring what those topics mean in today's world and how we get to embody them. So whether you're navigating burnout, you're seeking alignment, or you're stepping into your power, this podcast is your space to heal, expand and thrive. Let's settle in. And I hope you enjoy listening to heartfelt stories, figuring out practical tools, and listening to transformative discussions that help you reconnect with your rhythms, lead with your feminine energy, and live a life rooted in truth and wholeness. Hello and welcome back to the podcast, Wild, Wise and Whole. Thank you for joining me on whatever platform you are listening to this on. So today I wanted to do like a really easy kind of episode around, we'll share some techniques on how you can reduce stress and feel more grounded in your body. So I know that a lot of you listening to this will be dealing with a lot of general life stress. If we just like park those big things for the moment, right? Like the day-to-day small stresses that we deal with that accumulate and add up, like the mental loads of the kids, looking after yourself, the house, commuting to work, like all of these different things that we have to do that create like this accumulation and compound effect of stress in our everyday lives. So I just wanted to give you some like really simple techniques that you can implement literally as you listen to this episode. No matter where you are, you can kind of use these techniques to start to just like reduce those stress levels in the body. And also the biggest thing I think as well is like change your approach to stress. So when we think about it, a lot of us are holding like a lot of stress in the body, and you'll feel that through certain things like fatigue that you feel, a lot of tension in your body, feeling on the go all of the time, really struggling to feel present. And some of these like symptoms that you can experience as are like an accumulation of the everyday stress. Hopefully if you implement some of these techniques on a regular basis, you can become more aware of those symptoms that you're experiencing on a somatic level, like in your body, also thinking about your nervous system. And then also start to reduce some of them, right? So like imagine there's like a loop playing out every day in terms of like you dealing with stress and how you respond to that, and that loop is never interjected, because if you haven't got the techniques or the self-awareness, you just respond how you respond, right? So in this episode I want to give you some really practical things that you can do to start to break the loop. And when you break the loop, that starts to change how you respond and how you like store that stress in your body, right, on quite like a surface level. But I think we want to make this work, or I want to make this work as accessible as I can do. And I also want to make this work, especially when it comes to somatics, like I always say, things that you can just like fall into in your everyday, because there's simplicity in it, but the simplicity will create the compound effect that will then have a result on your nervous system, have a result on your body, have a result on how you feel, how you think, how you start to show up in your life. So let's just get into it in terms of the first technique. So all I want you to do in this moment is I just want you to notice how you're breathing as you listen to this podcast episode. So don't change anything. And just notice, are you breathing quite shallow? Or are you taking full, deep, slow breaths? And again, coming at this with like curious awareness. It's not about judging what you notice. It's just about really being present with what you notice. And now I'm going to invite you to take a real nice, deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. And this brings me to the first technique. Take a full breath. Okay? So as you listen to this, I'm just going to invite you to start to breathe more deeply and slowly into your body. It doesn't matter at this moment how deep you're breathing, whether you feel like your breath doesn't go into your stomach, whether you struggle to breathe past your diaphragm. It doesn't matter as long as you're taking a deeper fuller, slower breath. And that's all I want you to focus on. So the reason why this is a really good technique to reduce the amount of stress that you're feeling and start to ground you more is because it is impossible. Let's say, the stress that we feel in the body, you've heard me speak about this time and time again. Your body doesn't know if that's you commuting to work or you're in the forest with a bear. It doesn't know the difference. So if there's a threat response, which when we think about stress, cortisol, adrenaline flush in the body, that's a threat response, right? It's kicking us into that sympathetic drive. So it's near on physically impossible to be in a heightened stress state and to actively be breathing slowly and deeply. Because to reserve energy, what the body does is it starts to stress breathe, so it breathes shallow into the chest. It reduces the amount of breath that is in the body. So just by taking slower, deeper breaths, you start to send that signal to the body and to the nervous system, like, okay, there's no active threat. Like, I can start to bring myself down out of that, like, sympathetic, out of that fight or flight mode that I'm feeling, okay? So now just take a minute to check in and notice how you're feeling. How does it feel now you've taken some nice, deep, full breaths into the body? Do you notice that you're sighing out the mouth a little bit more? And if you are, amazing, allow that to come out, allow any yawns to come out. That's just like the body doing its thing, almost like resetting the nervous system almost. So just let all of that come out, any soft sighs, any yawns that you feel. And then just noticing if you feel like your shoulders have dropped a little bit. Your spine is softened. And knowing that this is a technique that you can use anywhere. So if you're stressed and if you're feeling stressed, one of the things I'm going to invite you to do is bring your awareness straight to your breath and take a full deep breath in. So many of us don't even breathe properly, and so many of us walk around holding our breath, especially when we're stressed. So when we think about that from the perspective of the nervous system, that is going to be causing more dysregulation in the body. So again, when we take that full deep inhale in, that's really sending a nice signal to the body. Nice. So that's technique number one. Technique number two is slow yourself right down. Okay? One of the things I have said a lot to clients in the past, and one of the things that I have also experienced, is when I am in a stress state, when clients feel like they are stressed, the physical movement of our body picks up. We become quite frantic, or we can become chaotic. We can be doing everything really fast, okay? Walking really fast, cleaning the house really fast, sorting the kids out really fast. Everything becomes kind of heightened because you come into the hyper aroused state in your nervous system when that stress and that cortisol kicks in. So even if it's for literally only a minute and you set a timer on your phone for a minute, slow everything down. If you're walking now as you listen to this, slow down. Look around. If you're cleaning your house, slow down. If you're in the gym, slow down. Become really present with what you're doing. Even just for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You can make that prolonged if you want to. And again, when we think about sending these opposite cues to the body, slowing down is letting the body know, okay, well, it can't really be a threat, otherwise I wouldn't be breathing deeply, and I definitely wouldn't be slowing down. I'd be in that hyper aroused state. So slowing down can literally look like as you wash the dishes, instead of frantically washing the dishes and instead of being like all, moving really fast with it, slow down picking the dish up, slow down washing the dish, slow down putting the dish on the side. As you walk through your house, take your time, feel your feet on the floor. And that could literally be, if you're feeling stressed, like planting your feet on the floor and slowing down, walking from the living room to the kitchen. And breathe as you do that. So the other really nice thing about these techniques that I've included is you can stack them on top of each other to create this really beautiful multi-layered somatic experience that you're having, really simple, that's going to be helping your body and help reduce stress levels on numerous different kind of levels and in numerous different ways. So you're really holding yourself, right? So again, simplicity. If you're in the office and you're feeling stressed and frantic, slow down. And whatever that looks like for you, there's no right or wrong. Just take a breath, allow your hand movements to become a little bit slower, come into the present, look around where you are. So you see how easy these techniques start to become, because it doesn't have to be a big thing. For example, if you're in work and you're feeling stressed, these are things you can do at your desk that no one would know that you're doing, that are really starting to help soothe your nervous system and really starting to help reduce your stress levels and allow you to feel more grounded and present in your body and in the experience that you're having. This is not about moving through anything, drastically shifting your state, but what it is about is noticing and then being able to tend to what you're feeling, so you don't stay in that loop that I spoke about at the beginning of this episode. Okay, so that's the second one, slow everything right down. And then the third one, if you're feeling stressed, to become more grounded, shake your body. So this is really good if you're feeling stressed and will help reduce stress, because when you're going into that sympathetic in the nervous system, I describe it as the fizz, so everything is becoming more heightened, right? You might feel a little buzz in your body. That's the stress, the cortisol, it creates that feeling, doesn't it, of in the body. There's a lot of charge in that space in the nervous system, and what I mean by charge is just sensation and energy and almost aliveness that's activated in the body when we think about that feeling of stress, whether that's anxiety, whether that's flutters in our chest, whether that's your hands are shaking, whatever it is for you that you notice when you feel stressed in your body. But usually it's an alive energy, it's a charged energy, right? Because it's kicking us into that fight or flight, isn't it? So we're mobilizing, so we're moving, so it heightens that movement energy in the body. So shaking your body out, even just really gently, is a lovely way that you can kind of reduce the stress that you're feeling, move some of that energy through, just really simple, just shaking your hands so it doesn't get stored in the fascia and the tissues and it doesn't get stored in the body. That's one of the reasons why we end up with fatigue, and that's one of the reasons why we end up with pain and tension in the body, because when we're feeling that fizz and we've got that charge in the body with stress, when we don't do anything with that, we end up holding that, right? That gets locked into the tissues and the fascia, creates inflammation, creates friggin' gut issues, creates a lot of issues, psychosomatic issues that a lot of us have become so equipped to adjusting around. But actually, tensions and pain and bloating and fatigue, all of these things aren't normal things that we should feel every single day. But because we are so stressed and we're dealing with so much stress, individually but also collectively, these are just things that we've become so accustomed to, right? So shaking the body and helping yourself just kind of release and empty some of that fizz is going to be so nice. So again, this is something that you can do that's really simple. If you're at a desk, or if you're in work, you can just pop the toilet and do it. But you can just shake your hands out, just shake your chest, shake your shoulders, feel into where the energy feels prominent for you when you notice that you're stressed. And just imagine, when you see a dog and it gets out of water and it shakes the water off, imagine, use that metaphor and just do that in your body. Everyone knows what that looks like. So just shake, imagine you're just shaking the same way a dog would to get the water off it. That's what you're doing for your body to kind of ground into it and just to help to reduce some of that stress that you are feeling, okay? So You don't have to make this really animated. This doesn't have to be something that you do for a long time. It doesn't have to be like a 5-10 minute practice. It can literally be just taking a couple of deep breaths, drop your shoulders and shake. Okay, so that one I think is super helpful because it's bringing that movement element into it, and it's allowing that like charge and that fizz to move through the body, like I've said. And as you shake, also don't be afraid to bring your mouth into that. So again, we hold a lot of tension around the jaw, and especially when we're stressed, a lot of us like clamp our jaw shut. It's very common with people that I work with. This creates holding patterns in the fascia around. The fascia essentially is your tissues. Like imagine you have skin under your skin, and this is what kind of stores everything, right? Like emotion, tension, knots, all of these different things. And that wraps around our whole body. So when we clamp our jaw shut, we end up, and like we hold in our jaw, this is where you'll see like grinding your teeth, you know, your teeth being really like shut together, pain in your jaw, difficulty opening your mouth. So we create these holding patterns around the jaw, and then obviously that goes into the head, which can be another reason why people get a lot of migraines, a lot of headaches, a lot of tension headaches. You've heard that phrase. That is literally what I'm speaking about right now. Is like underneath the surface. This is why you're getting tension headaches. This is why you're getting an uncomfortable jaw. This is why you're getting pain in your neck, right? Because if you're not moving the stress through your body, or reducing the stress, that just stays in the tissues, and you just keep getting flushed with cortisol, flushed with adrenaline, and that's not good for the body. Okay, so that's the third technique. Shaking. Oh yes, I was saying don't be afraid to bring your jaw into it. So as you exhale, so if I was to just demonstrate now, so inhale and exhale, and all I'm literally doing is just like, I don't even know how to describe that, just letting the breath come out with the, and it just vibrates. Okay, if that feels too much for you or uncomfortable, you can literally hum on the exhale, or you can do what Peter Levine describes as a voo. So you inhale, exhale, voo, and you just bring your mouth to make that voo shape, and you just exhale out. So you do that really simple. Or you can hum. So again, you'd inhale in, exhale out, and this is really good because it's bringing in activation of vocal toning, allowing you to like move, bring in the throat, release through the mouth, move that energy through you. It's going to massively reduce stress. And also you have your nervous system. You have the vagus nerve, which runs to the base of the skull, down the side of the neck. So when you actually bring in some vocal toning, it's very regulating for the nervous system. So if you are stressed and you bring in any one of those sounds that I just done then, that is going to activate your parasympathetic part of your nervous system, which is going to bring you more into that rest and digest, which is going to reduce those stress levels that you're experiencing. So that is technique number 3, shake it out. Okay. Technique number 4, another one I think is really good, is just like really planting your feet on the ground. This feels like it works really good because it allows you to just like come into the present moment, and I think that is really, really effective. And it's really simple, so you can just like feel your feet on the floor, and you can just essentially stack all of those practices that I've just said on top of that whilst like feeling your feet. So when we think about being grounded, that's a really good technique because your feet are the anchors into the floor, and bring your awareness down into that. And one of the other things you can do that's really nice is just bring your foot up onto your tiptoes, and then bring it back, and then bring your heel down onto the floor. Okay, so bring your foot up and then bang your heel down onto the floor. That's really nice if you're standing up to do. So if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling a little bit ungrounded, stand on your tiptoes, so you'll be standing up. Keep your heels keep your knees nice and soft, your spine nice and soft, and you just literally will come up onto your tiptoes. As you exhale, bang your heels down on the floor, okay? And do that as many times as you feel you need to do it. Again, that's something I feel is quite simple. If you are in work, if you're in an office, if no one's in the toilet, you can go into the toilet, you can breathe, you can come up onto your tiptoes, and you can kind of bang your heels down onto the floor. If you do that a couple of times, that's really going to start to land your body into the present moment. And as you breathe and you stack that breath on top of it, and even stack that vocal tone on top of it, those techniques together, even if you literally done that for a minute, is going to start to reduce the stress that you're feeling and make you feel a little bit more grounded. So they are just some really simple techniques that you can implement, some really simple somatic techniques that you can implement, that you can almost fall into, okay? So without much thought, without much thinking, you can just be sat at your desk and you can just start like shaking your fingers out, move your shoulders about, you can breathe, you can notice how you're breathing. It's something, if you sat on your sofa or you're on a walk now, you can breathe and then exhale out with the humming. So there's just like there's many techniques. I was going to say then there's only 4, but there's just some ways that you can start to reduce those stress and cortisol levels in your body, which I think is really important. And I hope that this episode was beneficial. I am going to be doing more short, snippet, bite-sized episodes where practices, techniques, kind of things that you can go away and implement. So if this was useful, let me know. If you find these practices useful, please let me know on Instagram. Share it with me, send me a message, let me know. Share this episode to people who you think may benefit from it, who are always stressed and on the go a little bit. And yes, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back next week with another episode. And if you are interested in doing any work with me one-on-one, I currently have some space for clients, which is really exciting and nice. I don't tend to have space often, but some spaces come up. I have one more feminine leadership space, and then I have some availability for somatic psychotherapy or trauma release breathwork sessions, both online or in person. And yes, the next cohort of R&R will probably be starting in around 8 weeks time. So if that also interests you, feel free to send me a message and we can have a chat about it. But on the whole, I hope that was beneficial. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening, and I shall see you next week for another episode.